Welcome back to This Shouldn't Work, the podcast. We today are in another location because I was in the studio. It was cooking super duper hot, and we're doing this interview in the afternoon, and we saw a big gigantic spider. So I was like, you know what? That's two bugaboos, two bad omens. So we moved inward into some air conditioning. And as always, this show is sponsored by the Midnight Collective. And today, our guest is Mr. Mark Earnest, a musician, a journalist, and somebody very kind enough to lend his time to our show and our cause. Welcome to the show, man.
Thanks. It's really happy to be here.
Do we nail it in the first one?
Did we do what?
Do we nail this on the first one?
It sounds like it.
Holy shiz. That's a first for me, dude. That never happens.
Nice. No, it's good.
Good. I might be getting okay at this, you know?
Right on. I think so. You've got experience now.
Just like I do everybody, I'm going to grill you a little bit.
Yeah, grill away.
Just at the beginning, just because I like to get to know you.
Both sides. So, grill both sides.
First off, how old are you, Mark?
I am 59.
59?
59.
No way.
Yes way.
Seriously?
Yep.
Dude, you look great.
Oh, thanks. This probably sounds arrogant, but I get that a lot.
No, that's
people usually don't realize I'm almost 60. Yeah.
I love that because this is going to be.
And I'm not doing anything right. I don't know why. It's just, I guess, I'm just baby face.
I just think if you're a good person, you just age well.
Oh, well.
What do you think?
Very nice of you to say.
Right?
I'll take that.
So, are you born and raised Reno?
No. I was born in Carlsbad, New Mexico.
Holy shiz.
1967. Was born there in Carlsbad.
Wow.
And previously I lived in Las Cruces, New Mexico, which is near there, bigger town near there.
Okay.
And then for a chunk of the 90s, I lived in Minnesota, in Duluth, Minnesota.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
pretty switch around.
That's got to be the most macaroni time of all ages, is 90s in Minnesota.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I know. Well, it's so funny because I think it was kind of strangely bohemian a little bit because I was I've always been a musician.
Yeah.
Since like I was 16.
We're gonna dive into that, I promise.
Yeah, cool. And so my wife's name is Doreen. I've been married to her for 30 plus years.
Okay.
And we moved there from New Mexico, and I was a musician and got into the music scene pretty quickly there. And it was at a really good time because it was like post-alternative rock land.
Yeah.
And so there were places to play, and you could go down and play Minneapolis, which was rad. And there were a lot of bands around, and it was kind of a bohemian thing. So it was strangely un-macaroni, but in general, like, yes, it was kind of a bland kind of white bread, if I may say.
Well, I didn't even mean it like musical wise. I meant just like people in general at the time. Like everything was
Minnesota
great.
Nice.
You know, like everything was potentially cold when it was supposed to be cold.
Yeah.
You know, just a real legitimate, like, hey, this is what the meal's supposed to taste like kind of.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, yeah, it was, definitely upper Midwestern placidness, I guess you could say.
That's so, okay. So born... at what time did we move out of New Mexico? We're born in New Mexico?
91.
So 91 is when...
92, sorry.
What age was that for you?
So I guess that would be 24.
So at 24, you're like, hey, we're just going to ship it up to Minnesota.
Correct.
What brought you up there?
My wife is a journalist also, or was. We both were. And she got a job first.
Interesting.
We decided to leave New Mexico.
Okay.
And wherever we're going to go. And she was having a great career in particular. And she got that job up there. And we went, hey, why not? You know?
Now, does that make the lateral jump to how we are now in Reno?
That's almost exactly the same reason.
Okay,
yes.
Perfect. We'll get there. I just want to kind of bring it back because wife was the potential move from New Mexico. So before all of them, we've been in New Mexico basically up until that
entire
point,
life,
correct?
Yeah.
Awesome. Talk to me about growing up in New Mexico.
Well, I mean, New Mexico in general has a lot of pluses and a lot of minuses. I think that anybody who stays long enough in the town they were born in,
right,
learns to have the scale be dislike over like, right? You know, so there were a lot of things that were really nice about it. But both those towns are really small. I mean, 28,000 or something like that in Carlsbad, and like 50 or 60,000 maybe. Maybe I'm undercutting that in Las Cruces. So, and I was always like a super artistic kind of kid. I was not like a basketball child, or
right? Not a jock or anything like that.
Tonka truck guy or anything like that. I was like I was reading all the time. I was, into artistic stuff. I was into singing. I was into wanting to be in bands. I was in a punk band when I was 16, playing drums and singing at the same time.
That's going to lead right into my next
all
question.
That stuff. So, and so in those two towns, I mean, less so in Las Cruces because there actually was kind of a little scene there.
Yeah.
And it was close to El Paso, Texas, where there was a really good scene.
Okay.
But Carlsbad, Mexico, really small, nowhere to play. The bands that played there played, classic rock kind of stuff. Punk rock was, Culture Club, Boy George. Like that was an insult. Like you would play a song, like your Husker Du ripoff song or whatever you're playing. In this case, I'm doing this. I'm making the drum gesture, not the guitar gesture, playing that, and someone says, Boy George. That happened to me a couple times. I know down here it was Devo. I know people down here called them Devos back in the day, which is not an insult either because I love Devo. Anyway, so kind of always felt alienated in some way, just in general, just because, and not like quote unquote normal. And a lot of people go through that. It's nothing new, but I was definitely in that. I was definitely in the nerd zone, as opposed to being, super cool. Yeah, basically.
Oh, dude.
And so that was what my growing up was like. And family life was only okay. My parents divorced when I was in junior high. So, and lived with my mom who was a wonderful person. For the most part, but I was kind of left alone. I was the baby of the family.
Do you have siblings?
So, yeah.
How many?
That? 6.
Whoa.
Yeah.
And where are you at in that generation? Are you the youngest, middle child?
Yeah, the baby, the youngest.
Oh, man.
I was the 6th out of 6. Yeah.
What is your relationship like with your siblings?
It was pretty good at the time. We're not all that close. My oldest sister unfortunately passed away.
Sorry to hear that.
But thank you. But and she was like my musical mentor in a lot of ways for just like my fandom of music.
That's cool,
because that was
man.
a big thing. Because she still lived at home, and 2 of my other siblings still lived at home, and the other 2 had since moved on by the time I was like starting to be like a toddler and above. Stuff I can remember. But my sister Sharon was like totally into music and totally into books, and clearly that's who I emulated, and she raised me in a lot of ways too. I mean, my mom did too, but she really did. And she really was open-ended about what kind of music she liked. And this is the early 70s.
Okay.
And she had a really wide palette. It's all popular stuff.
I mean, the door was flying open around the 70s.
Yeah.
So there's a lot coming at you.
Yeah. So she liked Zeppelin, and then she also liked Motown and like everything in between,
So good around that time though.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And so it was a really great time to grow up around music and have music around and understand what the radio is, and be able to kind of be influenced by what you're hearing. And
these
that,
younger generations don't understand what they're missing out.
It's really different
by having that,
Yeah. I mean, there's advantages to younger people, of course, because now everything's at your fingertips. I mean,
absolutely.
I mean, if you subscribe to a streamer, I mean, you can, you hear about Captain Beefheart and go, oh, what the hell is that all about? And you type in Captain Beefheart and you go, wow, or, but back then, of course, the public access was the radio and the library and pawn shops that sold records for $1, which I did a lot, by the way. Like kids would spend their lunch money on, toys or candy or later drugs, like their allowance. but I would spend it on records all the time. I would buy singles and I would buy cheap albums at the Salvation Army and stuff like that. That's how I discovered who the Velvet Underground was. I bought it when I was like 10, and it was like the banana was already peeled off the front and all that stuff. And so, yeah, so really, Sharon and I were really close. and the two siblings closest to me, my sister Teresa and my brother Albert, while I was there, were close. We've all kind of scattered since then.
It happens.
So there's not a whole lot of talk here and there, but there's a little bit. So it's still cool. There's no like massive hate or anything really going on, which I guess is a good thing.
That's healthy. That's very healthy. At least everybody can talk to each other.
Yeah.
You know, they'll pop on the phone and say, "Hey, how are you doing?"
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. What was it like being the youngest? That many siblings? Did we get any type of attention from mom and dad, or was it like, because when I said I was the youngest in the family, everyone thought like immediately everything was handed to me, but I was like, I was in a poverty family, so it means like when you're the youngest, that means like we had absolutely nothing but time. It was like me to do anything important.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like a bad thing. It was just like totally different than what people thought it was. I'm curious on your take as far as being the youngest, especially with such a long line of siblings. And then you said dad left around like middle school?
Yeah. Or yeah. Like junior high. So I think it was 13.
Are you comfortable talking about any of
Yeah,
that?
sure.
Perfect. So
Sure.
prior to all of that, what did life look like for you at home?
It was, it's funny that you say like attention from your mom and dad, because I think, you know, if there's going to be trauma from my parents, it was probably that. I think there was somewhat of a lack of attention, you know, and in some ways that was good because it made me very independent very early on.
Yeah.
Which I'm really happy about. You know, don't get me wrong, but but it also kind of, you know, later on, especially as I'm like developing as a person, and especially thinking about, you know, my own mental health and, you know, how I interact with other people and stuff, it definitely affected me because, you know, it would make me either really cold or really needy, depending on who you were, you know, and there's still bits of that, I think, that still happen, you know, not necessarily like needing approval or anything but just, you know, feeling seen or unseen, depending on what we're talking about, but more unseen. But again, it kind of, you know, really I was an only child, like from about 13 or to 14 onward, just me and my mom, you know, with seeing my two sisters that lived in town and my brother every once in a while. But for the most part, it was very solitary. And again, in a way that was really good, but it was also, you know, not as beneficial. I guess it's like a case-by-case basis, you know. It's like,
can I ask this, right?
Yeah.
Just because I feel like there might be a little similarity in this. I felt like even though brothers and sisters were gone, it felt like parents were just so checked out by that time.
Yeah.
That even though you were by yourself and you had all that exclusive time to these individuals, it still felt like, fuck, I still feel alone as shit. Because you're not getting the attention, right? Because they're just like, I think I did it. Everyone's gone. We just got this guy left over. He'll be fine.
Yeah. yeah. And I, you know, and when it was just me and my mom, I mean, when I needed a parent and I needed advice,
really
and especially teenage years and stuff, I could totally talk to her.
Hey, we like to shout out good parents.
And we, you know, we had a really good relationship for the most part, I would say, during that time. It would just be, I think I got that callus of, well, I'm alone. And so that's, you know, and I'm comfortable that way. And I actually kind of prefer it. So that's what I'm going to do, you know? So it made it harder for me in some ways, even now, depending on what we're talking about, to talk about stuff, which is great that I'm on your podcast.
No, I really do appreciate you even being so vulnerable and like talking about those things, because obviously when I gave you like cue points to come in with, you know, we try to talk about those things, but if it goes in any other direction, I'm A-okay with it, especially as vulnerable as you want to be, because I don't care how many times, even if it's a similar thing or completely off the wall thing, it doesn't matter who says it, but it needs to be said because somebody potentially watching the show is like feeling heard every second with every word that you're saying, and they're like, I haven't gotten any of this solace anywhere because, you know, everyone's looking to movie stars and everything like that. And we're just your average Joes, baby.
Oh, absolutely.
We'll say averager Joes. No, it's good. We'll get to that, right? Because we're going to talk about like the whole like music,
your typical
and
Bobs.
Yeah, pretty much.
I guess, I don't know, but yeah. So So it was, I guess I'm saying it was a mixed bag because there's a lot of, I mean, I'm not a change. Like if, when people ask if you have regrets or if people ask like, would you change anything?
Yeah.
I'm the kind of guy who's like, I wouldn't, because too much of the good stuff happened and I overcame bad stuff. And I wouldn't want to go back, just in case that dial got rearranged, right?
Absolutely.
So I'd rather just have that be where it's at, and have it be in the past. And I'm definitely like a don't look back guy too. I kind of tend to live as in the present as I possibly can.
I love that.
And part of that was from those years, where that felt like the best kind of coping mechanism when you have an uncertain future or when you're living in a place that has no future, that clearly, like, if I stay in Carlsbad, I'm going to completely,
that was very beautiful.
Rot here.
Thank you for saying that, man. That was very
it's really
nice.
important. Yeah. I think that it's funny. I met, one of my good friends. I met his girlfriend, on Friday, new girlfriend, and we were talking a little bit about this stuff. Mm-hmm. And I said something to the effect of, I think it's important to get out of your hometown. And I know not everyone does. Absolutely. And I know that that's fine. And everyone's an individual, but I think everyone that I've known who's done that, like, it's been a positively life-changing experience.
Absolutely.
And like, to me, I think stuff like that's important, and to try and go to a place or go to a situation where you feel like you are more heard, or you feel like you can do more of what fulfills you, whether it's career stuff or art stuff or whatever you're doing. So I think that kind of stuff is really important, And no offense to people who like stay in their hometown. I mean, you do what you do, but but I think that if there's a chance to do that and it makes sense, that people should totally do that.
Travel, right? In any regard.
See other stuff.
I think I was the one that like literally left home very young and saw a lot of states, like very luckily at very young, being able to tour with music and everything. And it just like led me to be like, Reno's my home. It was like after getting a lot of culture shocks and like things I got to deal with, being stuck in places for weeks at a time, you're like, you're kind of like, you know what, maybe my hometown isn't so bad. And that's how I feel about Reno. It was just like, I've seen a lot. I guess like I haven't seen any other countries. I've never been out of the country, but as far as what I've seen state-wise, I don't think I would leave. This is my town. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I'm that way now. Like there's, it's 29 years pretty soon. And to me, this is it. Like this, I don't really feel the need to go anywhere else. And Doreen, my wife, doesn't either. And it's like, so yeah, why not?
Like I'll go visit, I'll go travel the world, but I'm going to go rest my head in Reno.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Everyone needs that kind of center. And if it's a place that's, that again fulfills all of those needs for you, then it makes sense to go and seek that out instead of feeling like, oh, I'm stuck here, or like making excuses to stay at a place just because and suffer, because we're not supposed to suffer.
Yeah. Regardless of like, because like, I know one of the topics is talking about like the whole politics as far as like local music and everything goes.
Yep.
And this place has got to be one of the hardest in my opinion.
It can be, yeah.
With that even being said, this town still feels like if you pick up and roll your sleeves up enough and you wanted to go change some things or influence some things on a positive note, like most people are really open to it and will give you a shot. And that's what I love the most around here is that, even when I pick up on cats that are just like having a hard time breaking in a door, and I'm like, who are you trying to talk to? And I could still pick up that phone and be like, hi, I have an up and coming that just can't get in your door. How do we get them in your door? And
right. Oh, yeah.
Most of them, you're saying that? Cool. Bring them through. And then usually it just goes. And I love that, like, the city that we live in is more like shake hand like that versus like, well, you fucking owe me one, dude. It's like, what? No, most people don't really hold things against you like that.
It's too Forbes or Business Week or whatever you want to call it.
Yes.
Because there's definitely, I have friends in other towns and scenes that are still kind of like that, or at least were a while ago, and I just don't think in the music scene you have that luxury anymore, because it's rough.
Not financially, no.
Yeah, it's like no one's able to make a 40-hour living at it anymore. There's just no way that's going to happen unless like something gets huge, and
Right.
that's the chances of that are this
Lightning bolt
are tiny,
striking you.
And so you would think that you would have more of an esprit de corps, that more of an idea of like, this is a collective, this is the thing we're all doing together. But you're right. I mean, it depends on the person and the infrastructure and finding the right people and the right infrastructure to do exactly what you're doing. I do stuff like that for new bands all the time.
Oh, I try my best to try to give back as much as I possibly can. It's like, I don't know. I hope I get like one of those like Nardwuar and like J. Cole moments where they're like, yo, you put all this on? And I'm like, just don't worry about it. Because most of these cats will like, can I say something? I always say, just leave me out of it completely. And I'm glad to help. I don't need that.
Yeah.
Like where most people, it's like, I did you a favor and you didn't say anything, so now I don't do any favors. It's just like, no, I'm going to do it out of the kindness of my heart. If you want to say anything and you want to keep rock with me, that is great. I was like, if not, that's not what I'm here for.
Right.
I'm here to kind of give the opportunities that excuse me so much, that I was never given because it was so cutthroat coming up.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm sure you have plenty of stories, which I'm so excited to finally hear your stories and not tell my stories because, we touched on the family pretty good, right? Is there anything more you'd like to say about that portion of it?
That's probably it.
Okay. And then what age did we actually just like find music?
You mean just like from a fan standpoint?
No, like,
from
hey,
loving
I got to
music?
do this. Like I always ask every musician that's on this podcast, like, when did it strike your veins and you knew you couldn't live without it?
Yeah. Probably. Well, I mean, ever since I can remember, I've loved it and I've sang. I'm more of a singer than a musician, in my opinion, even though I play guitar in one of the bands I'm in. But it's a means to an end, right? Like I consider myself for like what kind of music I do, the singing and writing lyrics are what I do. So, so that kind of stuff was like continuous. Like I was singing when I was like a little kid, and as far as like being in bands, it was really when I got into high school that it became like, and my brother Albert, by the way, was a drummer. And so I looked up to my brother, and he's got a good voice too.
That's cool that the family was like into it.
Yeah. So, and that's, and my sister Sharon could sing really well too. And my sister Teresa was in like the high school band. Like there was music all around. So that was helpful. But, Albert played drums, and he was in a band at the time, like in the late 70s. And they would practice in our house every once in a while, like a cover band, which is the first place I heard because he had a tape of the songs they were trying to learn. And they were doing Cherry Bomb by the Runaways, and they were doing an Eagles song. They were doing Lying Eyes. And I liked both of those songs when I was a kid. That's the first time I ever heard that. Oh, and Paranoid. Black Sabbath, Paranoid.
Can I ask
That's
one
the first
question?
time I heard Black Sabbath.
As you're like adding to this story, when they were trying to learn these things, because like I know now you can dissect it like however you need to, but back in the day, it was literally just listening to tape and ear training, right?
Mm-hmm. Most of the musicians I've known have played by ear well, I don't know about most of them. It's probably half and half people who went to school for it or who learned from books, but a lot of people all ear, and definitely my brother's band was all ear, and listening to the song over and over. And usually someone in that band probably would know what the chords were just from listening to it. So that, and again, Albert was like a drummer, so it was easy for him to learn strictly off of records and know what they were doing and modify and all that kind of stuff. So I got to see that and learn how that worked. And so I definitely wanted to be a drummer and a singer, both. Like if I could find a situation that merged them, that would be great. And so the first band I was in was like that, where I wasn't the lead singer, but I would take leads on some songs, but I was the drummer for sure. A trio, punk rock, Husker Du ripoff band.
What was the name of the first band?
It was called the Young Pros, which is the most 80s name you could possibly think of in your life. Yuppie. You basically were named after.
Did you have any merchandise?
We put out. I don't think we did shirts. We did put out 2 cassettes though, like EPs of like stuff. So that was cool.
Talk to me about releasing a cassette EP at that time? What did it cost? What did it look like?
Oh, God, I'm not sure what it would cost. Not a whole lot. $300 maybe, something like that. And also we had, in Las Cruces, I had access to a double deck, 2 cassettes in one. So we hand dubbed some stuff too. I think the first one was hand dubbed and the second one was more like produced for real. But yeah, no, super cheap because that was the cheapest way you could do it. And in the punk rock world, especially, you would put out a single, which we didn't really understand even how that worked, or we knew how cassettes worked, and we all had cassettes. Pretty much that's what we listened to. So it made sense. So we just went boom and did that. Had recorded in little studios and usually in someone's house like this, in their house. And it was cool. It was really fun. It was really exciting and making a lot of mistakes. It was great.
I love that, man. So were you guys able to customize the tapes that you're handing out? Or were they just like, hey, here's the tape, we're just selling these?
It was pretty much, yeah, here's the tape. I mean, if we wanted to like hand color stuff, like in the black and white Xerox of the card stock and stuff like that.
Amazing.
And I think that happened a little bit, if I remember correctly.
See, that's the good shit right there.
Yeah. Well, yeah. There's the part of the simplicity. Well, I mean, it's really simple now because you just throw it online, doodly do. But it's but part of the homemade, real DIY-ness of it was actually really fun. It's
great.
Kind of a pain in the ass going through it, but ultimately it was like really fun. I thought, at least.
Fucking A. Sheesh. Okay, so first band. What age were you at?
I was started when we were 16.
16?
And we lasted pretty long. I was probably 21 or 22 when that broke up.
Wow.
And I was in other bands at the same time, like that didn't last as long. Like I would in Las Cruces because it was a college town. Mm-hmm. So there were a lot of, and it had a college radio, which is what really blew my mind. That's what really opened me up to liking everything and to really hearing real punk rock and really hearing real thrash at the time and hearing, which they called speed metal at the time, Sunny, and all that kind of stuff, and hearing all that stuff. And that was really like the moment where, the doors really opened up, for me. But there were a lot of bands around and I was younger and had more time and was more, voracious and more into like trying to play as much as possible. And so I was in like 2 or 3 things at once, all kind of part-time. But that was the longest lasting. The Young Pros was the longest lasting one. It lasted from Carlsbad. We all grew up in Carlsbad. We were in high school together, and all moved to Las Cruces. Some to go to college and some to not go to college there, and just stuck around, until a couple years before I moved.
Damn. No, that's a pretty healthy stint for being that young.
Yeah.
I mean, that's sheesh. Especially for jumping around in bands and to stay so like loyal to something at that age.
Yeah. It was really,
that's unheard
it
of.
kind of set me up for like later on, especially early Reno, where it would be like the 18-month itch, right? Where you're in it a year and a half, and all of a sudden people in the band start getting squirrely, or you start getting squirrely, or there's just like stuff that's impressing on you and impeding on you to do whatever you need to do, So yeah. But I've been all over the map band wise. Like I've had bands that have lasted, that never even played before they split or before things disintegrated. And then I've been in things that have lasted more than 10 years. It just kind of depends.
Can you give us a brief kind of overview, just for like the younger dudes that are kind of jumping into something where they can try to read a little bit more of the warning signs of knowing when something's going to be short-lived? When did you realize, oh, this is just not going to make it? Yeah,
well, I think, being in, I don't have to tell you this, but being in band is like being in a relationship. It's 100% true. And it's really like, it is really like a friendship situation. It should be. So a lot of the friend signs that things are going awry are like things to kind of watch out for. I think if you start getting good at reading when people are losing interest musically in what you're doing, or when someone clearly isn't, has maybe a more narrow cast view of what what kind of music you want to play, and they're unhappy, playing a certain kind of metal or a certain kind of punk, or they're unhappy with it being too broad. Just normal like personality stuff. I mean, you in band context, you get to see when people have anger issues.
Oh yeah.
And you also get to see when people are passive aggressive. That's the
True.
number one with me that I've seen mostly, and that I've tried not to do. I've tried to be actively aggressive when stuff's happened, to be honest with you. But those kinds of signs, I think, are things to kind of think about. A lot of just like, not waiting for it to happen or anything, but
Yeah.
if things don't feel right in your gut, as far as like the interest in the music goes, like that to me is like the biggest one. And then just, and then like a lot of material stuff, like when money starts flowing in, like how does that get
Sure.
broke up?
Oh, absolutely.
And also things like, people not talking at first in their bands about songwriting, like if one person is the songwriter, and everyone knows it at the front, and that's what we do. Okay, cool. Or if, and this is my preference always, even if there is only one songwriter, we're all going to split this up. We're split the credit up. All songs by band X, instead of all songs by Mark Earnest, right? Because that back in the day when you could get royalties and when publishing was the way you made money, it was important. I think it was always important for bands to know that early, because other bands I knew that broke up, and a few that I were in where there was credit issues, was always like, that didn't get talked about until it became like a problem, and so so that's a kind of sensitivity area that I think, even though there's no more money, is something that just from a point of pride people think of, everyone wants to think they contribute, and for the most part in all bands, that's what happens, unless you're solo guy or gal and backing band, and then that's probably clear from the off. But most things I've been in are not like that. Every band I've been in pretty much has been, a collective of people, writing songs, even if one person or two people bring them in, everyone's writing the song when it comes right down.
Everyone's allowed to say something.
Yeah,
Always.
I think so. Yeah, and put their stink on it, because I think that's really important. It's what makes your band a band. What makes your identity, really. The 4 or 5 people or 6 or whatever who bring their own thing to it. You know, that's why when we were pre-talk about the genreless genre, like this idea of like, don't be so quick to put your band in a box. And I mean, you got to start in a box, but if it feels like things are kind of segmenting out a little bit and you're trying different things, as long as it's not too goofy or you stink at it, feel okay to roll around in there a little bit and try some different things, because that's what will make your band you really unique in the truest sense of the word, distinctive, and that kind of stuff is, as a fan, I like bands where you can't quite peg them, like, oh, metal riffs, yeah, but there's something else going on. Like you can hear the influence, the jazz guy who plays drums in a certain way, or you can hear clearly punk rock bass player guy, transmuting into that, and it's stuff like, I love stuff like that. All my favorite like modern bands do stuff like that. That's kind of what I like.
No, I got you. So it's going to lead us right into the first two, and then I think we'll jump right into politics as far as bands go.
Okay.
But the first one, the reason why I want to stage it this way.
I keep jumping around. I'm sorry.
No, you're so okay. This shouldn't work. We're all over the place, dude. Trust me. We don't have a fucking agenda here. So
sweet.
We could jump all over the place. This is like a shonen jump. You watch anime at all?
I don't, but I know what that is.
So this is what it is. Okay. You just watch certain parts and you'll always know something's going on.
Yeah, indeed. Right.
But, so, being that you're so versed, right, you have a lot of knowledge in everything, and probably, God, we could sit here for hours just talking about like how to make a fucking tape. I'm sorry, I could. But I know we got to move this conversation as fast as we can, or as slow as we can, whatever we need to. But this is why I'm going to pace it this way. So the first thing, I always ask every musician this, right, and this will lead into my next question as far as how we start to get involving money in a band, right? But my first question for you is, at what point in time when you got into like a project did you know you needed to get T-shirts? What project, what band, what age?
That was probably more in line with Duluth. The second band I was in Duluth, I was in 3. The first was called Gravity's Rainbow, after the book by Thomas Pynchon, which I love that book. I named that band. But we were only together like a year. That was a year and a half. It was an 18-month, or, we weren't together very long. And we made inroads in town, but didn't really get to the point where we could put a tape out, or where we could put T-shirts out, or get to think about that. The second band I was in was called Swivelhead. I didn't name that band, but it was called Swivelhead. And it was a lot more like alternative, at first at least, alternative stuff you'd hear on the radio. Like we got compared to Pearl Jam and things like that at the time, which was fine because I liked that. Even though we were like a little bit like more offbeat than that. There was a lot more of the indie of the time in there, like a band like Afghan Wigs, or a band like even some of the Minneapolis noisier bands at the time, like Guzzard, or like Helmet, who aren't from Minneapolis, but they were on that, part of that kind of scene. Yeah. So there was bits of that in there too. But anyway, we were really popular, and we ended up getting like really big. Like we could sell out the biggest room in the place, and we got to play down in Minneapolis, and there was even a label interest at one point, which ended up being a bunch of bullshit, of course, because back then there was a ton of that kind of bullshit.
I would love to talk about that, but finish what you're saying.
Okay, so that band T-shirt, that's when T-shirts came into my life, with my bands, because clearly you were selling merch, and this is 93 to 95. So someone designed the shirt. We had a graphic designer. I've had a graphic designer in almost every band, and thank God that's the case, because we had the guitarist, Bob, was really good at that, and so he did that, and so we put out a CD. Actually, as the first CD I ever put out was that band. Woo! 2
things mentioned that are now obsolete.
Yeah.
Very wild to me.
Yeah. Isn't that funny?
Which is kind of weird because...
Although CDs, I buy CDs from bands all the time now because vinyl's hard.
Coming back in like the hardcore world,
I know.
Bro.
That's the part that kind of freaks me out, is cassettes coming back.
It's so cool.
I know. And I guess things kind of roll around. And I always loved them, so I don't care. But I always thought, yeah, cassettes, that's wild. But anyway, so... That was the band where it was like, okay. And because we were popular, we were making money, because we would get the door, but it would be hundreds and hundreds of dollars.
Oh, shit.
And we would get these other...
Say that again? You were getting how much at the door?
Hundreds and hundreds of dollars.
Never heard of her.
Like a lot, yeah. Like a lot. Like we would even get like thousands every once in a while.
Holy
and it was
shit.
Just like crazy. And it's like, wow, this is kind of different, because I never really been in that kind of situation in New Mexico.
Was that when it got like real serious and everybody kind of looked at each other and was like, yo, we need to figure this the fuck out?
Yeah. That was the last band I was in where like you would think about making it for real. Like you would think, oh, we're going to make it, and be serious about it.
Talk to me about that a little bit.
Do things to make that happen.
What do you mean by that?
Where you would start to try and get bigger shows in other towns. You would start to tour. You would be conscious about the quality of your recordings. You would try to get press back then, physical press. You would try to get the zines in Minneapolis and we were in the Midwest, so you could play in Chicago, you could play in the Dakotas, you could play in Fargo, which I did.
Nice.
And you could play, there was a circuit really, and Midwest stuff's closer together than it is out here.
Oh yeah.
So you would be able to not just play and get out of town so other people could hear your stuff, which is still valid, but you would start thinking strategically about it. Like we're doing this to get a bigger following, so someone will pay attention to us on a indie label, or maybe even a bigger one, because back then the lines were very, very blurred with that because of Nirvana and because of Soundgarden, Pearl Jam, and all of that stuff. Like major labels really were interested in you, or at least they paid lip service to it. And a couple of times in my life, that got close.
Yeah.
But deals were never closed
Gotcha.
for a variety of reasons.
Oh, absolutely.
Mostly just reasons of whomever it was ended up not liking what we were doing, which is fine. I mean, that's a totally valid reason. Or not liking what we're doing / not seeing dollar signs.
Gotcha.
Enough dollar signs.
Gotcha.
You know, and as that went on, like as 92 turned to 93, 94, 95, 96, and especially after Kurt killed himself and after all of the sort of weirdness happened and major label stuff started to be more predominant again, and pop music and stuff, like during that time, like there were no dollar signs anymore. And so everyone kind of went back to guttural level in a way, in a good way though, you know, cause there were still opportunities. It was just a matter of, you know, if you wanted to pursue them, to do that in a way that was different and that didn't have Atlantic Records on it or Columbia Records or whatever.
Do you think that was like, I mean, punk rock's always been there, but you know, when me and you talk about underground, it's like literally like being as independent as how, like, you know, making your own CDs, t-shirts, those things,
DIY.
stuff like that. Do you think that was like when the birth of that started?
No, I think it was before that. I think DIY was happening like in the mid '80s, like when I was a teenager. Gotcha. I just didn't see it very much because I was in a bunch of little towns.
Awesome.
But if I was in Southern California, it'd be everywhere.
Okay.
You know, I mean, obviously SST Records being the hugest example of that, where then from Black Flag's label, there came Husker Du and Sonic Youth and Slovenly and Angst and all these bands you haven't heard of either, you know, and that they became a full-fledged indie label, but you know, you'd put out your own stuff. I mean, the birth of DIY is from that early hardcore, you know, all of those people kind of just putting their own records out. That's right.
Thank you. That's all we can say.
Yeah, to me that was the center of it, and it just. But that got to be a parallel track with everything else too, which was a good thing, like you kind of alluded to. I mean, it's you know, even during like major label feeding frenzy or whatever you want to call it. I mean, ultimately though, if that didn't happen, it didn't happen, and you just did what you did, you know. And if there was an indie label, I mean, Minneapolis had a bunch of them at the time, Amphetamine Reptile, Twin Tone, being the two biggest ones, you know, and like in Chicago, they had Touch and Go Records, which was a big indie / punk noise label. And so there were always opportunities, like from an indie standpoint too, for indie help. But then you could also put your own records out, and, you know, enough people could see you. It all a lot of it depended on ambition and like how ambitious you were or weren't. And in Swivelhead, in that band I was in, I was a lot more ambitious about that.
Yeah.
And then after that, after that, another absolutely huge, life-changing, wonderful thing happened to me in that Doreen and I had a child, Aria, my daughter, who's 31.
Awesome.
Oh, she'll be 31. But so, and that changes you. Having a kid changes you. Being a parent changes you. And so that ambition kind of went, you know, but it also went, just from a standpoint of wanting to be a part of that. Like, it just felt weird. Like, that kind of stuff felt weird to me. I mean, I hate to sound like a Eddie Vedder type back then, but you know, when I would go get gas and people would recognize me from Swivelhead, or when I would, you know, or when I would just be around and at another show and stuff, and people would kind of bug you, and you had this kind of low level fame or low level attention. Part of it was cool, and part of it was like, this doesn't feel right. And I think that goes back. Let's carry it back. That goes back to my growing up, to being a solitary person.
Gotcha.
You know, and so that push and pull with that, it always feels weird to me.
It's like imposter syndrome.
A little bit.
Do you feel like you didn't deserve it?
I don't know about, no, I don't know if I would peg it like that. It just sort of felt like, I don't know about deserving it. I just felt like, what's so special about me? You know, that's kind of how I feel about it. Even now about stuff like I don't get, you know, I'm one of a bunch of people, you know, I just don't feel like there's something all that special about me. And then I get told what's special, and it's like, oh, okay, I'll take it. I'll accept this. Yeah, my brain will accept this.
Any man trying to accept a compliment is not on their best day.
Yeah, right. So I'm very typical male in that respect. But it just didn't feel like, and part of it was like an artistic thing too. Like, it didn't feel like Like, am I being recognized just for like, because I was the front person in these bands.
Yeah.
For being like the front, and you know, of course, you know what that's
Sure.
like. Are you
Get it?
I mean, do you like the monkey dance or do you like the songs? You know,
Yeah.
and I'm very pure about music. I mean, I want people to like get something out of the songs. I don't want it to be about presentation or about how cool the T-shirt is, or that your video is rad, or whatever people do these days, or that your social media is just fab. You know, I want it to be about the songs. Like,
Yes.
it's always about the songs.
It's always about the
And
music.
so
first.
when people do compliment me now, and even back then, and say, oh, and they say, I love the way you sing, or you sang this song about this, you know, and I really heard what you were saying. I love stuff like that. Like, to me, that's why I'm doing this exchange of that kind of stuff, because I get that out of people all the time. And so I want to do the same thing because I can, because I have that talent. I know how to do that. So the hometown fame thing was like, again, just feel like I just didn't understand why it was that big of a deal, you know, to me, really. And it wasn't really centered. It didn't feel like it was centered so much on the art, the actual art, you know, and that just kind of bugged me, I guess.
Gotcha.
In my weird little brain.
No, I mean, everybody embraces that differently, right? And everybody is in their own path with it, and that's okay, right? An artist is an artist. Artist is an artist, right?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. Some people embrace it. Like me, I never mind it at all. I think I'm just like secretly waiting for them to like recognize me for like what I'm doing now versus like what I used to do. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So there's just like this hunger on the inside.
I totally
They're
know
like,
what that's about.
Hey, so and so, you're from, and I'm like, here it comes, and they're like something that like I haven't thought about in like years, and I'm like, damn it. Well, thank you for recognizing me. First off, you know, I'm always humbled by that, because I'm like, dude, I'm absolute nobody, but you know, if you're taking your time out of your day to talk to me, fucking thank you. Thank you. You know
I feel totally the same way about it. And in Reno, that happened because I've been here so long, and been in bands almost the whole time. Like, that happens all the time.
See that?
Like where they'll remember the punk rock band I was in 2000 to 2003, like, and that'll be and they don't know anything else that I've done in 20 years. It's so wild to me. It's
right?
just
and
like,
you're like, you know, I progress, right?
right? Yeah. It's like, well, usually what I think after a while is like, oh, well, and usually when you talk to them, you figure this out, is like, oh, well, you just stopped going to shows. You just kind of gave up on local music and maybe even music in general, which to me is sad, but you know, and so you're just not in the scene anymore, you know, but you stumbled upon my band. That happens a lot. Like I'll be playing with either Manchild or with Kanawha now, and they'll recognize me from this band, the Vitriolics, I was in, that was pretty popular up here in the 2000s, or this band called Dirt Communion 15 years ago. Like, they'll recognize me from that. And so, but they hadn't been to shows since, or like they just go to shows at the GSR or whatever, you know, they don't really go, you know, you kind of, some people think, some people think they outgrow like the local scene.
Yeah, like going to a local bar or something like that.
Yeah, and I'm like, and to me that's kind of sad, frankly, because I think that's where you see passion more than anywhere else, and that's where, if you love music, you really get to see people who really love it.
Yep.
You know, and who are trying to say something to you. You know, I think you can get that in larger bands, but I don't think it's like as clockwork as it is here. I mean, I go to a show at least every other week, and sometimes multiple times a week.
Show respect.
Instead of, and it's because I love it. I love to watch music. I love to hear it. I was at a show on Saturday, you know, I'm like, you know, I just like that kind of stuff, and I like to support my friends too, and musicians I admire and see it, you know. And so when I do meet someone who sees me from the past me, you know, and I always usually will come around to the point where like, oh, well, they kind of, you know, they went suburban, and that was the end of that, you know.
I try my best to like get out to local shows, but since I have such a bad anxiety problem, like, and it's pretty, it's like really, really fucking bad. Like it will like make it to where like I can't breathe and talk sometimes. And like, I don't like feeling like that, like, especially when I don't have to. Right. So most people, because like you would probably same thing. Like you were at every fucking show, and I was like, yes, I was popping in and everything like that. But I also used to drink a lot, you know. So like, when I drank, it was no problem for me to be in those type of scenarios. But it's like it's hard to kind of like go and have to show up with like almost like a medical card, like I'm having the time of my life. I'm just freaking out back here, bro. Don't worry.
Well, and having to explain that to people over and over again from your past.
Until I could really get the reins on it, you know, which like, you know, also like releasing new music myself and hopefully be able to play live again. Nice. Is kind of stepping towards that, you know, just to be like, dude, I eventually want to be able to be in a crowd again and not feel like I'm going to throw the fuck up, you know, like, it'd be so nice.
And that's, to me, that kind of stuff is totally valid on why you wouldn't want to play anymore or be around music or be like all of that stuff, like mental health issues or issues with addiction, all of that. Yeah. And I've met people like that too, that hadn't seen me for a long time because they had to be safer around alcohol or around places where drugs are happening.
Oh yeah. And that took some
so
time.
they go back, you know. And that's cool. And I totally get that. And I don't even have contempt for the suburban people either. You know, it's just me, like, I'm just never going to do that, you know?
Yeah.
And I've been lucky enough to be able to kind of
triumph over
bump,
whatever. Bro. This guy's a real one.
I mean, I've been able to kind of like not let that control me enough and to learn how to regulate myself mentally
everyone
and with substances.
Has
you know?
their journey with substances. And I'm so proud of people that can like, to me, people that can like interact with any type of substance and still like not fuck up their entire lives. Like I envy those people because I'm not one of them. And I am okay to say it out loud and not feel lesser than, or like I'm not a strong dude, like
that's great.
Player. It's one of those things like, well, you can't just have one beer. I'm like, the one beer is not the problem. It's like you're okay with me having that one beer, then it's off to the races. You know, like I won't stop.
Yeah, one turns to 12 like that. Yeah.
Immediately. So if you know that, how do you solve that? You just don't fucking drink, dude.
Right, yeah,
you know
exactly,
I mean?
yeah.
And so when I was doing my deep dive into addiction, more or less what I learned from it wasn't like a psychoanalysis thing, right? Like you weren't like crazy missing something and that's why you're addicted to something. It was that most of these individuals were lacking connection within their entire world, right? Imagine like, you know, we all have like our releases, right? Mm-hmm. We were able to play music. We can write songs on books and stuff. Now, imagine being so fucking talented, but not being able to pick up anything and release that talent. Right? So oftentimes you find a lot of these like bleeding hearts, like just getting fucked up because they don't know how to release this portion of themselves because their circle around them, they don't relate. Their parents, they don't relate. They don't have any family members, they don't relate. Their partner doesn't relate. You know who's there for them? Cigarette, alcohol, weed. You know, like all these things to kind of give you that warm hug. And it's not necessarily like you want to be fucked up all the time. It's just like you want to feel what that feels like. And oftentimes, like when you're drinking and stuff, you kind of feel like you kind of got that warm hug a little bit. You know?
Sure. Yeah.
So when I try to go at it with like any other homies that are dealing with addiction and stuff like that, the first thing I ask is like, what are your relationships like? Before I'm like, oh, how much are you drinking? You know what I mean? There's two different ways I go about this now, you know? So that's the one thing I learned through this, which I'm so fucking grateful for. And like I said, hopefully I'll be able to march out in troves with a bunch of sober dudes and just like come and smash shows and be like, come on, let's go have some fun and we'll fucking hang out together. You know what I mean? But
and I'll tell you, I mean, this doesn't necessarily solve your anxiety issues, but there are a lot of sober people in the scene right now. I'm in two bands. I'm in Manchild, which is more like a punk rock band, like fast, really early punk rock. And
check them out.
Yep. And then I'm in a band called Kanawha. That'll be 10 years, by the way, in November.
Check them out.
And that's more like evolving into this sort of like stoner metal meets grunge thing. That's amazingly fun.
Awesome.
But there's a sober person in Kanawha, Alex, the bass player. And although everyone drinks in Manchild, we know a lot of people who are sober, period, like in the scene, both as spectators or people who are fans or watching it, and people on stage too, tons of people. And I've always thought that was really great. And I always thought that was encouraging, you know, that people are still pursuing their art, you know, and still trying to engage with music and engage with that feeling of of like hearing a song that's going to change the way you think or make you feel seen and known or just entertain the shit out of you. And to be able to do that and not drink and feel cool with that, and in a supportive environment where it's okay that you're not drinking, that's great. That's wonderful. That's why I love all the all ages places now, because that's to me like, you know, having Holland and Midnight and the 4th Street Place and I'm missing a bunch. The Greenhouse, you know, all of these places where there's like zero.
I'm just saying, I'd give it like 5 years ago. Not even that big of a list. But continue.
No. God, 2 years ago, not even. Holland was it for a long time.
Awesome, dude.
I love it. Yeah. And not just and I like that. Like a place like the Alpine will split and it's really all ages. Yeah. That's cool. But there's also a full bar there, you know, hey. So it's cool to go to a place where alcohol is not even at the center of the business dealing.
It's not available.
Right. Oh, well, Holland, you have to go across the street. You have to go to Corrigan's.
Exactly.
But I love that. I love that for
How cool
people for that choice.
For the kids, though. You know what I mean?
Well, it's why there's so many really great young bands right now, like in many genres, is because that's happening. There's places for them to do their art, you know, and and when you were coming
Safe
up and when I
places
was
to do
coming
their
up,
art.
it wasn't the same. It wasn't the same. It was less.
It was not as safe.
No, absolutely not.
That's why I said that. These are safe places for kids. And
yeah, exactly.
Freaking love that more than anything, because me and you can go back and forth with how many sketchy venues we loaded into at young age. You know, like being around people that were offering us like substances at young ages. No problem, dude. That was like the thing. Like, oh, you're trying to be a rock star, dude. You got to do this. And you're super pressured because like you want to let your guys down. You know what I mean? And
then, sure.
You know, so it just perpetuates itself in this like craziness. And like I love like the newer generation, this new wave of sobriety that they're bringing to the table, as far as like they're starting to flex on the art a little bit more.
Right.
Versus like the whole lifestyle of it, of getting messed up and trying to be this artist at the same time.
Yeah. The artist takes precedence over everything.
About time.
And that's when you do your best music. That's always, in my opinion, is like when that's at the center of the conversation and everything else is just peripheral stuff to deal with. Like that's when your band or your solo endeavor or whatever you're doing, that's when it really like rules. Is like when it's all about, is this a great song? Am I trying to say something that's going to move someone in some way? Like, what am I doing? Like that, like, again, every band I like right now in and out of Reno is that you can tell that's at the center of what's going on. And so that's what I'm attracted to. So there you go.
That's awesome.
I'm going to steal one of your Coke Zeros.
Yeah, you can. Just put it on record that you owe me a Coke Zero.
Okay, that's right. Have you ever seen a Scott Pilgrim movie?
Yes.
Because they had the endorsement of Coke Zero all the time in that, and I love that movie. I love that movie so much. Talk about a movie with great music.
Yeah.
But like we're I guess it's Jason Schwartzman, I think, is the villain guy and is talking to Scott Pilgrim. He says, "Are you enjoying your Coke Zero?" So every time I have one, I have to like say that out loud because it's just so blatant.
It's the artist in you. You have
fucking
to.
hilarious. I had to say it.
So
yes, I'm enjoying my Coke Zero.
You enjoying your Coke Zero? We're not sponsored by anything, by the way, other than the Midnight Collective.
Yeah. Yee.
Are you enjoying your Midnight Collective?
Are you enjoying your Midnight?
No. To bring it back, where is your heart and lust? I guess this is like a two-parter, right? Because I want to know, because you talked about it pretty nicely, right? Like you did everything you could to try to launch a project. You explained what that means to be serious about a project, which you did beautifully. I love that.
Thanks.
Rewind that and fucking listen to that, guys. That's serious versus a hobby, by the way.
Sure.
But so basically, Daughter was the thing to take us out of the realm. Like, hey, I'm gonna go compete in the industry.
That was the biggest thing, but another thing really quick was just that I just sort of lost my distaste for that whole area of the music business. I was just like, I'm not a hamster. I don't want to go in the cage. I don't want to feel like I have to do that in order for people to see it. There's got to be a different way to do it. And I learned that different way was just to do it and be happy with, if it was smaller, it's smaller, and that's totally cool. And as far as like the audience is concerned, and that in and of itself is freeing. And if it gets bigger, rad, then do bigger things with it, but do it and have it make sense and have it be stuff that's good for everyone in the band's lifestyle and what they do. And don't feel like you're having to push it to get to some unobtainable goal that's not going to happen anymore. So that was sort of like the two-prong reasoning behind it.
Did it hit where it was just like it felt unrealistic? Or it was just like you saw what it took to get there and you were like, I don't want to jump through any of those hoops?
At first it was B, and then it was A. Because the music business, post Napster kind of just went, and it's still down here. And so like the less chances even that something would get bigger as a fluke would happen, like the less that happened, the more that just doesn't even become in your thought process anymore.
Yeah.
And of course it still happens with people, but, and people are still ambitious and do it. But, but then I'm back to B, if that would be me for some bizarre reason, if they would want Grandpa to be on their band on, what's Equal Vision Records or something or whatever. I'm trying to think of a label that's like big enough indie. Fat Records, whatever.
I know. I was like, is there even record companies anymore?
Yeah,
you got to think about that. You're like,
kinda. I mean, it depends on
who's
your point
the
of
coolest
view.
artist on Spotify, I guess.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, So there you go. So it's like, so it's not available, and even if it was available, I that to me is stronger. It just didn't seem appealing to me. I would just rather just create and do a one-on-one thing even, or a groups on one band thing, and have it not be, always shooting for Madison Square Garden the whole time, and why not bring it in? Why not make the temperature in the room move? Why not make that the most important thing that you do instead of developing your art and doing things in order to get on MTV or get on YouTube in a bigger way or whatever it is that people do now, or to get a billion plays on Spotify or whatever dumbass thing you have to do. It's like, no. So I'm personally, and luckily I'm pretty sure everyone in my bands are, unless they're going to see this and go, are in that same.
We are not aligned.
Right. It's like, are in that same boat. And age range wise in the bands, I mean, there's someone as young as 37 in one of the bands, and there's someone as old. Yeah. And there's someone as old as 54. I'm still the grandpa on both. But there's, a little bit of give there, but all of us, I think, are like, understand that like it would be kind of foolish and a bit strange to think that we could, suddenly go on a 6-month tour in order to build enough audience to get the attention of Equal Vision Records or someone, you know what I mean? It's like all of that seems like,
What if you did Renaissance it though? I did something badass where like when everybody retired in the band, like no one has to worry about money. And we're like, you know what? Fuck it. We're buying a sweet RV and we're going to start following Clutch everywhere we go, baby. And you know what I mean? Until they're just like, you know what? These guys are legit. And then you guys just go start crushing arenas. No? Is that unrealistic?
You're saying what if that happened?
Yeah. Is that unrealistic?
Yeah. Well, yeah, incredibly. Incredibly. It would have to be, and one of my best friends is Dan Steinmetz, who's the drummer in Manchild. You've met Dan, Dan. And we've both said out loud separately, like, if for it to happen with like Manchild, it would have to be a fluke. Something weird would have to happen that you can't predict, like some viral thing or something, like, and those kinds of things last a very short amount of time. I can't pronounce the name of this band, but there's that French band with the hoods and the Dadaist aesthetic duo.
Is it
sort
Ghost?
Like a progressive metal thing. It's like,
Spotted Dudes?
Yeah, the Spotted Dudes. We'll just call them the Spotted Dudes.
Primus.
Now they
Two?
got. Yeah. Well, yeah. The Mahavishnu Dada Orchestra of two. thing, whatever they're doing. And yeah, and see, 2 months ago, like people would be going, oh, da, 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 da. And already like the bloom is starting off the rose with them. Like people are finding out it's really just two French dudes or two Canadian dudes or wherever they're from. Like, cause they uncovered like video of them without the hoods like 4 years ago, you know, playing the same kind of stuff, but it's clearly them cause it sounds like them, you know, microtonal things and all that. And so it's like, you know, it's like Ghost. It's like, you know, now when you found out it wasn't like scary ghosts and the devil, you know, it's like, you know, people throw up their hands. And so that kind of fluky fame is really impermanent. It's like more impermanent than fame was back in the day. That was impermanent, like a one-hit wonder fame. You know, you can carry one hit, like, what's a good example? Tony Basil. That's a bad example. I'll just do it anyway. Tony Basil, the woman who wrote the song Mickey from the 80s. Do you even know that song?
Hey, Mickey. Is it You're So Fine? You're So Fine?
Yeah.
That one.
Yeah.
Boom.
I mean, she's had, good for you. She's had multiple careers. I mean, because she's a dancer and all this other stuff. And she's a badass and an amazing person. But that's the only hit she had. And she even toured and did like little things. But then, you know, the music part of her life kind of faded away, you know, and then she went back to being an amazing choreographer and a dancer and all that. So maybe not the best example, but some people have ridden that one hit, you know, all the way to just being able to subsist for the rest of your life.
Right.
But I think if you're a new band, that is not going to happen anymore. That will never happen again. You won't be touring in 2050 off of your one viral hit.
Nah.
It's not going to happen.
It goes so quickly.
Yeah.
And it's very what's the best word for it, right? It's not disheartening. It's just like they don't know what to do with it once they have it.
Oh, yeah.
Or does it come too quickly, you think?
Yeah.
How do we explain this?
Yeah. Well, I think part of the modern malaise of that is that it's just the way that people in a mainstream or a mass way are fed information is just different and is less permanent. You know, Twitter ruined a lot of stuff. Sorry to say.
I love that.
I know. Ruined a lot of stuff. I'm an old fart in that direction because it was all like 120 characters.
Can we talk about that?
Yeah. So everything is like boom, 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 instant, instant, instant. Your opinion on politics, your opinion on spirituality, your opinion on relationships, any opinion you have has to be summed up in a sentence, you know, for some people. And it's like, you know, it's gross and you can't do that. And so the attention is fleeting because the message is fleeting.
Gotcha.
And it's just the snake eats its tail over and over again, you know?
Fair.
And that's where we're at now with a lot of popular music and a lot of music in general, is that there's an audience there, but the audience that really cares, that's going to follow your band around, that's going to go see you play, that's going to actually listen to your stuff, whether they buy it or not, that's small. It's real small. But they're also real important and a lot more impactful, in my opinion. You know, I've had like really great things said about my band with that connection from people who live in the UK, you know, who stumbled upon us because we were on someone's blog or someone's podcast, you know, and that's wonderful. I love stuff like that. So you can go global, but it's incremental. It's in tiny little bits.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, so if you think you're in it, like to win it and to live in a mansion and to have this be your living, you know, and not have to work at the restaurant or whatever, that's happening less and less and less frequently.
It's going to be a second job.
Yeah.
You're
going to have to go back to your day job. And there's a lot of people
and that's okay,
who are pretty big, who actually still have their day jobs still. It's wild. You know, when I read about some band I like and they're like, oh, well, we can only tour for 3 months out of the year because I got to go back to our job. I'm like, wow.
It's so realistic though.
There you go. And that's fine, you know, but, and it's fine that you were able to work within the means to get a ton of people to see what you said.
Absolutely.
And you're probably cool with it and I'm cool with it, but it's a commentary on how it wasn't always like that.
Gotcha.
And you could be more ambitious in the early 90s because there was an infrastructure that supported it and a way of listening that supported it. And now a lot of that's eroded or just gone.
You have to do some crazy stuff to get people to listen to your song now.
You do. You have to become spotted.
But
or whatever it is, And if you're in, no offense, hopefully this won't offend someone watching this, who knows, but if you're in a band, especially young people in a band, and you're thinking, what can we do to go viral, man? We need like a viral hit. Like, what can we do? I mean, I'll just be honest with you. That's stomach churning to me. That's just like, I'm not going to like what you're going to do. And I bet you a lot of other people aren't going to like what you do.
Fair.
It absolutely. It's because people can see through that,
Oh yeah.
Because viral stuff happens just because it happens. It's literally unpredictable. And sometimes the needle can be moved somewhat. Do you know about Geese, the band Geese? Is it Geese or Goose? Geese. There's a geese and a goose, by the way.
I believe it's for both.
I believe it's they're fabulous animals. Geese is the band from New York, and they ended up being like the indie sensation with like, people in the internet that still have like an indie rock focus.
Awesome.
Like websites like Brooklyn Vegan or people like that who like.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's still that infrastructure for that style. And they put out a record 3 years ago that was really great. And they put out a record last year that was good, but not great in my opinion. But that good, not great record got an actual real push, like a paid publicity push.
Okay.
And they got huge, and they got on Saturday Night Live, and they were this big deal, even though they're pretty squirrely. I mean, the guy's got a voice that's not mainstream at all. And yeah, it's like, it's he's been compared to a Muppet, and I think it's cool, but, and good for them. I mean, they're not doing commercial music at all, but it's become this commercial thing. But part of it was because of that push, And now, like in the last couple of weeks or within the last month, there was like an expose article in Wired magazine, I think it was, that said like they're an industry plant, which is bullshit because they're on they're still on an indie label,
right?
They're not an industry plant. They had enough money to pay someone to publicize them.
They got the right Google ad placement.
They did, just like the Spotted people got on KEXP. Now that was a little bit different because that was a festival that they usually covered. So,
yeah.
But just something took off there. But with Geese, I mean, they had made enough money or had enough money to throw that out there, But now their fame is eroding that fast in a mainstream way over like an 8-month span because of the infrastructure, not because of the music. I mean, maybe for them, part of the music, because people probably saw them on Saturday Night Live said, "What is this shit?" This doesn't sound like Sabrina Carpenter. What the fuck is happening here? It's probably like that. So there's that, but there's also, but that whole like, the snake eating its tail thing, it even happened to them,
Mm-hmm.
And they'll probably do fine, and they'll probably still be able to sell out theaters and stuff in 10 years or whatever, and it'll be great, and they deserve it. I mean, it's interesting stuff. But when we're talking about fame with a capital F, that's where that's just not going to happen anymore. You're right, unless you do something weird or dumb or fleetingly interesting.
Yeah, almost
and
close to like borderline murder, dude.
Right? Yeah, exactly. And I don't want to. I ain't going there.
Don't even have to fathom that for over here. Like, now we're
I'm not
good.
going there.
No, thank you. So I'm really curious too, because you got to see both sides, right? You got to see pushing paper to get people to your shows now, and then we just went all about the whole digital thing.
Yeah.
What was it like seeing the switch? Because I was definitely not around for that. It was like when I got into music, it was definitely already online. And it was like, that's how we promoted kind of things, even though like even touring was still on paper, right?
Oh, yeah.
But
like you needed a map to like go
to
somewhere.
Get anywhere was crazy. But like before then, like how quick did you guys adapt, I guess you would say, to being like, oh my God, we can utilize this as a tool?
Well, that was probably with Dirt Communion because that was 2007.
Okay.
That was still kind of a going, like when we started in 2007. And that's really where, suddenly like, you couldn't really sell records en masse anymore, but you could get people to your shows through MySpace at first, and then Facebook, and
Gotcha.
and having to have a dialogue with your audience that's closer, which at the start was a fucking amazing idea. I love that idea. I still do to an extent. It's just kind of all the weirdness that is social media.
If you want to
now.
know how he feels, just rewind, I think like 10 minutes ago. You're good.
Yeah, we don't have to go back. But anyway, that was the year, because I was in one sort of quasi solo project thing called Mr. Vague that had like different people I played with. I did that for 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
In the 2000s, and then 2007 I was firmly in Dirt Communion, and that was basically the only thing I was doing for like 3 years, I think, or 4 years, and that was the time where we need a MySpace thing. We need Reverb Nation, or was that what it was called?
Holy hell, yeah.
Things like that.
Whoa.
And you could back then kind of see the power of that, because you would still have to put flyers at Recycled, or
I still do.
wherever. Yeah, I still probably should, because I just think it's a fun idea. I really should do it. But anyway, that was you had to parallel tracks. You had to do both of those things, and that's where I kind of saw that like the digital world was more where bands kind of lived, and then the live experience was the live experience, and they were integrated in a way, but they were also kind of separated in a way.
Gotcha.
So and it was like that. It was not a smooth transition at all. It was a bumpy ride to be able to really do that for real. So and now I think with people younger than you are, it's probably a little bit easier because you've grown up with it, and so it's a little easier to know how to leverage YouTube, or I part of what I do at the News and Review is I write about music. Every other week I have a column about it called Music Notes, and it's all about local bands.
Awesome.
And then I do longer stories about bands too, like I used to do when I worked for them 2018 to 2020. And I've gotten to meet a lot of younger bands because of this. And some of them are really good at like Instagram and really good and are doing it in ways that I could see would appeal to not only their age group, but people like me, like to be engaged with it. And it's very genuine and kind of funny too. And there's a sense of humor there, and it's not just so po-faced and or artistic, depressed or whatever, like there's like not pandering to cliches, it's like they're using that stuff really well. So I could see how now, if I was younger and starting out, it would be like second nature,
Start setting
but you're right, I had to I've gone through a bunch of different sort of ways to get people to even come see you. It's pretty wild.
Have you ever thought of stepping into the role of maybe like being a manager for a band or doing those type of things, since you've seen both sides and you can kind of see now music's gotten a little boring? You can be a little more creative now and kind of go after things. But I mean, do you have any desire to go back to the industry?
No, I don't know if I would do that. I kind of I've toyed with it here and there a little bit, just like I toyed with being like a producer a couple times with people.
Oh, okay.
Which I would still really like if an opportunity came and it made sense to do. But I think that my answer is at the root of why I don't want to be a manager is because, or don't want to run a venue. Is because I get asked that all the time. Like, you know how to do your own shows? You should run a venue. And I'm like, no fucking way. And it's because, sorry. Those two things are so much more slanted on the business side of things as the key importance as opposed to the artistic side of things, that I just would not. For me personally, I couldn't be fulfilled that way. I wouldn't feel like I'm doing the right thing for myself or for what I need out of music. I just couldn't do it.
Thank you for saying that.
Yeah, because I would rather be more low key about art I'm creating with people to other people instead of like pushing someone in. I'll totally give people advice, unsolicited sometimes, by the way. Absolutely, all the time. And people will take it or not take it, and that's their prerogative, and that's fine. And I don't get hurt if they don't. But so I'll do that. I don't mind doing that. It's, I don't want to keep the secrets locked up. Especially since the secrets aren't to anything all that great.
I don't even think there
place.
are any secrets anymore, to be completely honest.
No.
My favorite saying is this is everybody in the world is doing the exact same thing that you are doing right now.
Yeah.
It is you that makes the difference.
Yeah, 100%.
And that's it. So keep doing whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
And don't feel discouraged and hung up about how successful people are being around you.
Right.
Be more worried about how successful you're gauging yourself in this, right? Like, did I grow? Did I learn more? Or am I still doing the same thing as I'm trying to produce even more? It's like you should be more alarmed about those things.
Yeah, yeah. There's a famous saying, I don't know who did it, unfortunately. It's been attributed to a bunch of different people, but comparison is the death of joy.
Okay.
And I live by that because I think the minute the grass is always greener, the minute you're thinking about, that whether it's out of jealousy or out of ambition or whatever, it doesn't matter. Whether you think, I want to be at that level, but I can't because that person's at that level, and you think there's like only so many slots or whatever. Like all that stuff is like, just erase all of that out of your mind. I agree with you. It's more about, what are you saying to people? What are you getting out of it? What are you giving to people? Mm-hmm. And rewards or whatever follow from that, how they follow. And people, the right audience will always see if you are yourself, if they will see if you are living that, through your art. They'll see it, and you'll have
they
people
sniff
who
it out like bullshit.
They will
quickly.
Absolutely, 100%.
That's what you're talking about. Like you come in, they smell your fake, and
yeah,
you're right out.
Right,
dude.
yeah. It might last for a while because it's fun or novel or whatever.
Pretty much, or that it's like a meme that won't die. I love those songs that are just like the worst songs you ever heard, and I'm like, I can't wait till they go on tour.
Oh yeah.
So we know that won't die anymore, and we know, but at least they'll snuff out like the stuff we know is not like
Oh yeah, totally, and that's
full manufactured.
So that's just really important to me. Is like, still, if you're a musician and you're still in it for the art, like you can be playing until you are my age or you're older than me.
Music is timeless always.
100%.
When someone told that to me, like it set me free.
Mm-hmm.
I was just like, oh. Music's timeless, Nate. Don't rush. And I was like, because me as a young cat, I don't know if you met me in my younger years, I was like pistol, like, whoa, everything's got to happen right now.
Oh,
you know
gotcha.
what I mean? Like, so.
I didn't know you then, but I certainly know a lot of people like that still.
But
but I hear what you're saying.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
I tell that to a lot of cats even too, that like walk by and like, they're like, man, I'll never play a show ever again because of this. I'm like, no, you can. You totally can. You just got to get out of that mindset that it doesn't, like you said, it doesn't have to be Madison Square Garden. You can go play your local bar anytime you want to. You can put some dudes together and go hang out and jam on a weekend as long as it doesn't fuck up your family life. You know what I mean? You can do these things. It's
you can fit this
in. Reality in your head needs to go away,
Yeah.
And guess what? You write a slapper out there and they want to put you on, then you live your dream for a minute. But your dream is always just to play with a bunch of dudes in front of people to take them away for 30 minutes to an hour, right?
Oh yeah, 100%.
So it's like,
I mean, that's why I'm still doing it. I mean, because I like that feeling of moving the temperature in the room. I like that feeling of a communal experience.
I like that saying.
What?
Moving the temperature in the room.
Yeah, that's one thing I say a lot.
No, I like that.
It too.
Because I've seen it. I fuck with that.
I've seen it happening, not like I have synesthesia or anything, like I see in colors or whatever, but you can tell, you can have a feeling when like there's a communal thing going on between your music you're playing and the audience. And even if there's not many people in the audience, sometimes more so, you can really feel that happening, and that gets confirmed when you go out later and people say that they had a great experience or that you did this song and it really grab me, in some way, and all that kind of stuff. Like that's the most important thing to me is that
money goes
that kind of engagement.
right out the window.
Yeah,
when that happens.
that kind of engagement. Would I like to have $1 billion? Yeah, of course. Who wouldn't? But at what cost? And when I know that that's not that obtainable, then I'm going to take what I know that I and my friends on stage can do. And so I just like still doing it and feel like it's more important to do,
Hell yeah. No.
than that.
We encourage more musicians that are just sitting there going, I can't do this. And it's like, yes, you can. Yes, you fucking can.
And to feel what it's like, to be alive as a creator, as someone who has things they want to express, even if it's absurdity. You have things that you want to express, but you don't have a way to do it. And the fulfillment of actually doing that, of like going up to the mic and saying it or singing it or playing it through the combination of the notes you pick or through the dynamics of the way you play drums or whatever it is your thing is. Like the more you get addicted to that, the more you get addicted to being able to do that for yourself, and you're getting something out of it for your soul, really, then that's what will keep you in it. It's when you lose that you get people like what we're talking about, for whatever reason, but no, I think that, apart from like extreme stage fright or things like anxiety and things like that are much harder to control, but you're going to eventually do that because you're going to eventually control your anxiety.
It's never gone anywhere. I just, was drinking heavily to mask it, so I've always had to throw up in a trash can before I got on any stage, So
wow.
That's just the way it's going to be for the rest of my life. But the only way out is through. Like the more times you do it, because like my big thing when I meet a lot of other people that say like I have anxiety, I can't do things. My thing is like, fuck, that's giving me anxiety, so now I have to do it so I don't have anxiety about it. You know?
Oh yeah.
Because it's like only as out as through. It's like the pills only help so much, man. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
And like when you're broken to a certain point, like I am, it's just one of those like permanent rivers that are carved in your brain. So it's not going anywhere, but I can redirect it as best I can.
Right.
By like doing things that I'm fucking terrified of.
Find the sweet spot of that,
Yes.
And have that experience,
but
right?
it is getting into a pool. Okay,
yeah.
It's very
Exposure
cold.
therapy.
The minute you get to your nuts, you go, and sometimes you get the fuck out. You know what I mean? But sometimes you're jumping in that bitch. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, it's like, that wasn't as cold on my nuts as I thought it was.
Yeah, it still is.
And there you go, and you do it. Yeah. So, but the trying to do it, is the
most
the hill to
important
leap
part.
over, right?
I always talk about like starting, right? Like there's a massive percentage in the world where people will just sit here and talk about doing things,
Yeah.
And very few will start just in being embarrassed of failing, so they won't even start.
Right.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And I probably had some of that, but I just did it anyway. But I probably had a lot of anxiety about like, is this going to go over or not?
Fair.
When I was younger, especially, and maybe even more recently than you would probably think.
Gotcha.
At just some point, I don't know when, it might've been around the time when I was the last band I was in Duluth, which was called Splay Feet, or no, that's the wrong band name. It's called Sourpuss, which I love that band name. I love that band name, Sourpuss. And we were like Fugazi basically is what we sounded like. And, but it was way weirder than the band before. Right. But we still had a nice audience and did really well. And sometimes a whole different group of people would like it, even though it was weirder. And even though I had like butterflies a little about, is this so weird that it's going to like make people run away or even, God forbid, like heckle my ass or do something, And this was before I turned 30. So I was still like going a little bit jumbly about that.
Dude.
But then the more I started in that band, especially just to do whatever it is and to say whatever I felt like the song was telling me to say, whether it was from me or from some other imagined thing, the more successful that got, the more even successful in execution it got, the more it was like not a big deal anymore. And then from that point on, I've been shameless. I've just been doing whatever I'm doing, you know, and not really worrying too much about it, you know, and just,
yeah.
and not even being worried if people walk out or don't like it, you know, and I had to thicken up my skin
Awesome.
a lot. But the way I did that was by doing it and by building up that better kind of callus, you know.
Yes.
You know, it wasn't a callus so thick I couldn't walk anymore, you know, but it was a callus just the same. It was just trying to,
Yes.
you know, trying to make my art, what's the word I'm looking for? Sort of to make my art, critic proof, I guess I like to say, you know, and as someone who's had been a critic and a music critic and kind of is to an extent with some of the stuff I'm doing now, I think that it is an important step to do in your mind as an artist to be critic proof and to think, well, you know, whatever, everyone's got an opinion about something, and this is the way, you know, from every facet of your life, from the way you eat breakfast cereal to God, like everyone's got an opinion about all of these things and how you should do it. Right. You know, and some people are more strident about their opinions upon you than others. And I'm just like, you get to the point as you get older, especially, that you're just like, I don't care anymore. Mm-hmm. I'm just going to do this. And the right people will see it and hear it. You know, the right people will get the message, and the right people will be part of my inner circle. And there you go. And it's that simple, but you just have to do it first.
And that could be 1 to 2 people, and that could be 1,000 people,
mm-hmm.
but it don't matter. You got to do it.
Yeah. 100%.
So we have 2 topics left.
Okay.
Okay. I don't know if you necessarily want to jump into them.
Yeah, go for it.
But they're, because I'm curious about like what music looks like for you currently, but I didn't know if that tied into talking about like the whole politicking in your local scene.
Yeah, let's talk about the music means to me currently part, and then do the politics.
Perfect.
That feels like a better seg.
Yes.
See, I'm always the writer.
This shouldn't work. We do what we want. So yes, go ahead. Where are you at currently with music? Yes.
So so 2 bands, like I mentioned before a little bit briefly. One's called Man Child, been together for 5 years now. I play guitar, rhythm guitar, and I do about 60% of the lead singing. The other 2 musicians in the band, Mark Rosel, the bass player, Kyle Visco, the guitar player, the other 2 singers rather, they sing chunks of lead and backing as well. Dan Steinmetz, I mentioned before, the drummer, he doesn't sing, but he was the drummer. And it was his idea to do this band. Like he wanted a throwback band for hardcore like it used to be, like 79 to 85.
Gotcha.
So that's mostly what we're doing. Although it branches out, again, the box, like I talked about earlier, mm-hmm. You know, we branch out a bit here and there. We don't go crazy. Like we don't sound like Real Big Fish or anything, you know, but we might sound like, you know, something more post-punky, like 80s, or more like, might have bits of like noise rock in there, like stuff that's just chaos, you know, that happens every once in a while. So we're not strictly bound to an agenda there, but it is punk. And so there's that band. And then Kenewa's the other band I've been in for almost 10 years. I'm just the singer in that. I don't play an instrument and I don't write the music. I just write about half the words, and I help a lot with the arrangements.
Awesome.
Because I've always been really good at that.
Mm-hmm.
I've been good at backing vocals, like telling people what to sing for backing vocals. I've always been good with doing them and with arranging songs. And then with that band, which is Tony Ashworth on guitar, Alex is, Cantor. I can't remember his last name. Alex and Cantor. I hope that's right. On bass, Julian Osti. I know. I'm sorry.
I hope you're watching right now.
I'm sure. Yeah, you're going to see this later and go, you asshole. And then Julian Osti on drums.
That's 2 Coke Zeros you owe.
Yeah. God. the Coke Zero forgetfulness jar.
Sorry.
Anyway. Yeah. So that's more like, it started out like a just strictly stoner doom band, mostly slower tempos, definitely in that kind of wheelhouse. And then it's evolved now to where there's a lot more different influences, a lot more like Soundgarden-y kind of things happening now. A lot of some stuff from like, the louder wing of that mix of like crossover music, like the thrash and punk thing together. Like our tempos have gotten like a lot faster. It's like we dumped the marijuana and went to the speed, which we don't do either one, by the way. But I don't do either one.
Allegedly.
but so that's evolved. That box has been dynamited at this point, but we're all cool with it, and people are really responding well to it. And so we're just going to keep dynamiting that box and see what happens. But that's been about 10 years, and we mostly play around here. I don't do a lot of out of town shows anymore. It's just the technicality of it, and getting everyone on the same page in the bands and in a place is difficult to do, and so we don't. But maybe someday we will. I mean, that's a maybe someday thing that we do. But we do put out records all the time. I mean, Kenawa's recording right now.
Awesome.
We just started the drums fairly recently. Manchild's has one EP out. We're going to do another full-length record by the end of the year, probably right at the end of the year. Kenawa's will have 4 records out by the time this one's done, also sometime this year. Vinyl records, so I've learned all about that now.
You're gonna have to teach me after this podcast.
Oh, I'll tell you to talk to. It's actually pretty. It's way more expensive than you could ever possibly imagine.
That's what I'm going with. So.
But it's also like ultimately though, if you've got the money and you're able to do it,
that's where I'm at.
And you've got a lot of patience, then it's actually a really fun thing.
Well, I own certain rights to certain musics, and then like especially with like my new stuff coming out. I'm getting a lot of requests for these things. So, but like I said, this is your podcast, not mine.
No, that's cool.
But I would love to pick your brain. Probably after this, I'll probably shoot you some text.
Yeah.
Being like, hey, bro, I have some questions.
Well, we'll talk another time. I turn people on to people all the time.
I fucking love it, dude. But that's what it's all about. You know what I mean?
Right on.
Like,
I'm 100% for it.
This is how it moves. You know, like
100% for it. But so that's kind of what I'm doing musically now. So
awesome.
The kind of fun. Well, it's not kind of fun. It's a fun elevator speech about like my music career now.
Love it. Give it to me.
Is that as I get older, I'm getting louder, and most people as they get older, they get quieter.
Okay.
And it's weird because I already had like a quiet period, like whereas I was a solo artist, it was mostly acoustic, and I did that, and I liked it a lot at the time, but I don't really want to do that anymore. But these 2 bands I'm in right now, apart from the one band I mentioned in Minnesota, are the loudest things I've ever done. Like the most like in your face and most like aggressive and most yelling, like just yelling like I've ever done. It's just bizarre to me, but that's what I'm feeling now, and that's what they're feeling, and I can do it, and so here I am, and I'm shameless, and I'll just do it. So
it's such a blessing now.
So that's where I'm at, and I'm happy to do it, and it's just what I'm feeling. And will I feel that way in 3 years? I don't know, but
I hope so.
But I don't care. I'm just gonna do what I'm doing in the moment, right?
I love it.
We'll see. I mean, I don't know. It could get louder, but it gets
louder.
But we'll see. But it probably won't. It'll probably get louder. but I don't know. We'll find out. I kind of like just I'm at the age now, especially where I'm in the moment with stuff. I'm going to quote a drag queen, Katya. Her name is it's a guy, but her name is Katya, and comedian, drag queen, brilliant person. And she was on her YouTube series, and she said, and I'm sure she learned this somewhere else, but she said, if you've got 1 foot in the past and 1 foot in the future, you're pissing on the present. And she meant it kind of as a joke and kind of not as a joke, but it's kind of true. You can be kind of hamstrung by who you were in the past that you didn't reconcile, and it can mess you up. And you could be thinking too much about what's going to happen next, or like what the purpose is or whatever in the future, or where you're going to go after, the lights go out and all that stuff. And that can mess you up too. So why not? What about right now? What's happening right now? And that's just how I want to live all the time. And I've been like that for a pretty long time. And so musically, I'm like that. It's like, I want to see right in front of me here, like how, it's like, this is as far as I'm going right now, and everyone else, luckily in the band is exactly like that, if not more so than I am. So, I might think even more ahead, and then they're like, nope. And that's fine, and that's cool. 'Cause I think it keeps it real, and it keeps it like us doing it for the right reasons, and keeps it being fun instead of being, business week. Right. Which is important for me right now, for it not to be business week.
Well said. So, local band politics.
Yeah.
What do you got?
It's still a problem.
How is it even a problem? What even is it?
Yeah.
Give us, for anybody watching that like has no idea what you're talking about, can you give like
I think the
cliff
big
notes?
I think the big overarching thing is, I think there's still people in Reno, and this is probably true in other towns. I don't know if other people watch this, or if you've got exclusively Reno people, or what's going on.
No, this is worldwide.
Right.
So whoever is tuning in is
this is probably
this.
true. This is probably true anywhere where you have enough places to play and enough bands for it to mean something. I think that there's always going to be this problem of people thinking they represent the scene.
Ooh.
And this amorphous thing called the scene. I don't think there's a scene in Reno. I think there's like 12 of them. And I also think that's okay.
Always.
Because to me, where you get into the politics is where you bring that larger view into it, and you kind of seem to take on that role of yourself, whether you're a band or the leader of your band or a cluster of bands together, or you're the person who books shows somewhere, or whether you are a gatekeeper of some kind. Like people tend to, like, that's when the politics start.
Gotcha.
When you're gatekeeping cool, and when you're gatekeeping opportunities for people, and where you're kind of where you see yourself as that person. Well, I mean, I got news for you. Because there's 12 different scenes, none of that matters.
Fair.
And so if you're chasing that kind of stuff, if you, and again, this is from my past we talked about, if you're chasing hometown fame, if you're chasing that kind of thing, especially if you're chasing hometown fame as a platform for fame beyond your hometown, you're gonna get kicked to the curb pretty hard, because again, that's fleeting, and to do what you have to do to get there, and what you think is success, I don't think is obtainable anymore, because it's so diffuse. Yeah. So why argue about it? Why have like rivalries between bands? Why have tugs of war within your own band on where you want to be if you haven't talked about it, and come to a point where where it's going to be, because that's where interband politics is a problem, right? So that's kind of politics I'm talking about. Again, I'm not talking about Democrats and Republicans. I'm talking about.
I've said enough about that in the last podcast. We don't even care, dude. Okay. So I'm glad we're talking about something else.
I mean, that's a whole other fish in a whole other barrel. But,
don't even care about it. But
as far as just like getting shows and being in the scene and getting seen and trying to be a part of it and a part of a community, I think your time is better served to feel like you're building your own community, even if you aren't. And if by that I mean there are definitely bands in town that are more popular than other bands. I mean, that's always going to happen.
Oh, yeah.
And bands that become hubs, where you're the hub around 4 or 5 other bands that are, some of them are kid bands, younger bands than you, some of them are maybe your peers, whatever, where you're the band that plays a lot and you book a lot and you're very savvy and you know what to do, and that's what you do. And so that's a satellite scene to be in. And that to me is fine. Like, to me, when we get into like scene politics, it's when people outside of the bands are controlling that, and that's a problem. Like when there's like, when when you get into the business side of like venues sort of fighting and you get, which kind of takes
So
away from
dirty,
the
dude.
point, of why we're all doing this, right? Like that in particular, I think drives wedges in bands somewhat, if you're not all aligned on it. Like as like the key example of something still happening now in Reno. I mean, I think you should just play wherever you want to play, and that's the band's decision.
Yeah.
Bands should, if a band wants their CBGB and they want that to be Holland, so be it, right? Don't feel like you have to go out of your way as another musician to say, you should try playing at the Alpine, or you should try playing at Club Underground or wherever. Like you shouldn't, the bands will be happier if they make those decisions and feel like they're making those decisions, as opposed to too much influence from outside on that, because if there's not really a big overarching Seattle 90s like scene,
Right.
then why worry about it? Why worry about creating it,
Where it's like an echelon of like up and comings playing every weekend. We've definitely seen that here, like back in the day, where it was just like, shit was just going off left and right. Everybody was having so much attention and being on the road, and it's like when you came back to the town, it was like everybody had cool places to go at all times to see just like exploding shows from their local scene, which was insane to me. To even be a part of that was fucking very cool. But to see it now, where it's just like you're talking about, where it's just like everything's kind of niche. And it's not embellished by any means, and it's just like, it's cutting down their audience, in my opinion.
Yeah, it cuts down your audience, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, 100%. Yeah, I think that, I think that it's the chasing of that I think is an issue more than anything else. And again, if the people in your band have different ideas on what that's about, I mean, that's what breaks up bands a lot, I think, is like, life intrudes, and that's number one, no matter what it is. That's what breaks up your band. You have a life situation that means you can't be in this band anymore. And that's fine. But there's ways you can prevent it,
right.
Too. And one of those ways is for like the band to start, you said advice for young bands, like is for the band to start right away saying, where do we want to go? And like, how far do you really want to go with this, and find out what the middle ground is. And that's where you go. Like if one person wants to tour 6 months out of the year and one person is cool with out of town shows once a month, then go to the once a month, and that'll be fine. And you'll still get different degrees of fulfillment, or find a middle ground somewhere, whatever it is, but like actually talk about that kind of stuff. Because I think that's when bands get taken advantage of too, frankly, and where, bands, who have this kind of ambition to go beyond Reno, that's where, people start taking your money, frankly, and or not giving you your due of money, Not to be too diplomatic here, but you know what I'm saying?
You're just fucking nailing it. I'm sorry.
I know. Well, yeah, but it's, because I think the more savvy you are about that as a band, like where you want to be and where you want to go and what you want to belong to or not belong to, then you can make that happen with help from anybody. But the arguments happen in bands when you don't think about that, when you don't get philosophical enough about that, and
assigning roles and duties. It's like a must,
Oh yeah. Oh, that's a huge one. Yeah. Yeah. That's, oh yeah. Yeah.
If you don't know what your fucking job is at the end of the day, you're just going to sit there with your thumb up your ass. So
yeah.
You can't just go into it and be like, it'll figure itself out. It's like, that's not how this works.
Yeah, no. You have to, it's good to know going in kind of like who's in charge of what you're doing and how it works.
Right.
And to build up trust inside and out, bands are like relationships. You have to trust the people that you're with, and playing in your town is like relationships. You have to trust people you play with. Some places I don't want to play with because I don't trust that person running it. And some people I'll play with them like gigs that I think I shouldn't be doing because it's on a Tuesday and what the hell am I doing? But it's that person, and I understand why they're doing this show, and it's an artistic thing too. Usually, it's like, yeah, or it's going to be a fun experience, and so I'm going to want to push for that. But someone else in my band might be, I'm not doing that. I'm like, okay, I'm like, fine, that's cool. I'm cool with it, not experiencing every experience. And I guess that's the overarching thing I'm trying to say too.
Right.
Is like, don't feel like your band has to play at every place, do everything, play every week, write a song every week, blah, 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 blah. Like, don't make time your enemy, right? Do your thing when you do your thing, and be organic and grounded about it, and don't let other people's sort of delusions of grandeur poke out and mess you up. By the way, the band Delusions of Grandeur are fine, by the way. Hi,
They
Shane.
played last night.
They
or
did.
The night before.
They
Hey,
did.
Shout out. I think this is the second time we've shout them out on this podcast.
Oh, sweet.
So, dudes, hey, boo.
Yeah, I saw Shane, and he said hi, and I said hi, and it was very cool. And I don't know if he recognized me from anything in particular. I don't think he did, which is nice.
Got to just hang out. I love that.
Yeah. He's a cool cat. But yeah. So the politics of things. I mean, it's easier to control politics outside of your band sphere than in some ways too. I thought I should say that because I mean, it's easier to say. More bands should say no. That's another thing I say all the time to people. It's okay to say no. You're not missing shit, really. Just say no. If it doesn't feel right, say no. That's just words to live by, period. But really, in a band situation, it's like, just don't do it. It's okay. You're not going to miss an opportunity necessarily because maybe another one will come down that'll be more of what you're wanting to do anyway. It's not that big of a deal.
What would be the solution, you would think, to try to overcome the gatekeeping that we keep talking about? Like hoarding opportunities all because a band can't do it. They wouldn't give it to like the next best person in line, but they would just rather not let it come to town or let it come to light, so to speak, in order to get ahead of another band.
Oh, right.
What's the resolution to that, you think?
Well, I don't know if this is a satisfactory resolution to that, but I would just say, well, fine, get off the treadmill because you're going to be happier not in that kind of competition like that. This is art we're talking about. Competition in art is gross. The Oscars are gross. The Grammys are gross. And subsequently, again, comparison is the death of joy. Certain gatekeepers you're never going to get past, or they're always going to have an agenda beyond what is yours, right? So just get better at sniffing them out and saying, okay, fine, bye. Because in Reno especially, there's other places. It may not be the same size of place. It may be bigger, maybe larger. I don't know. But for what you really want to do is to get your stuff in front of more people. You can do that in a variety of places in Reno and with a variety of different people in Reno. And just if it doesn't work in one thing, don't get discouraged and see what you can do in another way. Or even better, because this is what I've done every time now, is just make that you're your own gatekeeper. You're the gatekeeper. I really like, I don't do this enough, but I really like curating my own shows. And for a while there in Kanawha especially, and in the other bands I've been in, I was the guy who put together the show because I knew how. I would go to the club and I'd say, we want to play here. We want to play here with blah, blah, and blah, or out of town bands, which still happens all the time. Mm-hmm. Where out of town band will write me and go, oh, we're going to be there. Can we do it? And if we can, then I'll make it happen because I've built up enough rapport to be able to go to whomever I want where I think it'll make sense and go there and not have to go on my hands and knees and do it, And so honing that skill and learning that skill and being able to be confident about it without being arrogant about it, it will get you really far, I think. So younger bands who kind of feel like there's like fences all the time in front of them, build your own fence, figure out a way to do that. And it won't work every time, the first time, but it'll eventually work, and you'll find where it will. And that can be your platform to do what you want to do and to build up a following or a place to be or whatever. I mean, there's definitely bands in Reno that are centered on one place they play, or a couple. And that's fine. And I think that's a good thing, because you're doing what the old fashioned way and the longer way, but you're doing what you're supposed to be doing in some ways, which is building a regular place where people can commune with you and you can have this great experience. So I would take 20 of those smaller shows than one big ass show at a place where I didn't feel like that was going to happen. You know what I mean?
Fair.
I would rather take the incremental steps and have 20 really cool experiences than one big old blast if it's not, if it's just one, a
Right.
one-off,
That's so fair. That is so fair. Damn. I mean, that kind of puts everything in a nutshell. I mean,
Cool.
the only thing I have left was just the
Help,
question.
I'm in a nutshell. Sorry. I couldn't resist.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
It's an oldie but a goodie.
Oh, so good. The only thing I have left is the question you had for me, unless you had anything else that you would like to discuss.
I have talked enough.
I don't mind
I'm
it.
sure the audience. I'm
I-
sure the audience thinks so. But no.
I've been enjoying it. I've been here.
Nice. Okay. No, go for it.
No, the question you had is, let me just pull it up real quick.
Yeah.
Let me
Make
try
sure
to nail this
make
for
sure
you.
you're saying it right.
And it's 316, Austin 316. Our Lord and Savior. Okay. Now, he worded it way better than me because he's a journalist. But in Nader's words, it's, what is my desire to keep going? Now, do you mean musically wise? Life-wise?
Yeah, musically wise.
I really had to think about that when she first asked me that question, because I was just like, there's a lot of things that keep me going in that aspect. But the best I could sum it up, it was my friend said it the best, right? Because I share the same kind of blood that you do. It's just like the minute I became conscious, it's like this is the only thing I could think about. I can't
Right.
think of anything else. The minute I could stop thinking about this would be the best day of my life. But I think I'm going to go to the grave like this, because,
Sure.
it's a lifeblood in you. You can't stop feeling the rhythm, I guess you can
Yeah,
say.
100%.
Right? So the best way she could equate it, and I think she nailed it on the head, was that I'm always going to be doing this, but when I'm not doing it, because it looks like it's my oxygen. So when I'm not doing it, I'm constantly looking like I'm holding my breath until I get to do it again.
Gotcha.
So for me, I think with my last project, it killed my lust for the industry completely. Like, guys, I don't give a fuck. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean that in the nicest way possible, but it was just like my return to music and like how I wanted to do it. It was more or less a choice to build a platform that I didn't really have to walk away from anymore. So
Gotcha.
I could keep being me for as long as I can. And whatever that sounds like, who cares?
Right. That's wonderful.
So deep down, I think I found myself in this. So to appease myself, I know that sounds selfish, right? How selfish of me to write and play music to appease what I need to feel okay in this world.
God forbid. Like that should be the primary reason everyone creates art, in my opinion, but that's just me.
Now, I know like most people would probably call that like higher calling or whatever the hell you want to call it, right? As far as those type of things. But to me, it would be like almost taking a prescription pill.
Okay.
So if I don't do it, I will die.
Oh gosh. Oh, I see what you mean. Okay. I was like, what? Okay,
I become very destructive. Like,
Yeah.
my concern for myself goes to an all-time low. And it is just a big demographic for me. If I'm not able to access anything, and I don't even care if I play it live or anything, but I got to play something.
Right.
Or I got to hum something.
Oh yeah.
I got to create something, or I will legitimately explode.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm the same way.
And the second one was the last tour I got off of. I think every show that we played, the people up front, there was something different in their eyes this time. Like, I've played a lot of shows where there's been a lot of people very excited to see me, but not this excited. It blew my mind. Like, remember that talking about like the whole, this moment is just a moment in time to take everybody away from whatever the fuck they were feeling at the time. Good, bad, indifferent, you know? I saw it like in real time. Like that's what I saw in their eyes this time. It was legitimately like a fucking bomb could have gone off in a room later and it would have been the best night of their lives.
Nice.
And I was like, holy shit. If I'm even capable of that for even a second, I'm never going to stop doing this.
Right. Oh, yeah. That is 100% relatable.
So between those two things, that's what keeps me going.
Good.
That and my badass girlfriend. I call her wife.
Nice.
We've been together forever.
Practically wife.
Yeah, pretty much. And she is very positive and
good.
You know, making sure
and
that
my wife was always very encouraging. In fact, when I moved here, I first wasn't going to be necessarily in bands. It wasn't like I was going to stop, but I was taking care of our kid. I was a stay-at-home dad. And then after a while, I did get a job at the Gazette-Journal, by the way, which is where my wife worked. And so we were being journalists and all that. I still wasn't really doing some music, but nothing really that on. And then she saw an ad in the paper for the first band I was in here in town in Reno, which was called Grow, G-R-O. And she brought that to my attention. So I thought that was really cool.
That's bad.
So she's always been encouraging me to be artistic and to do this. And
that's crazy.
And that's very, I think it's really important.
You know what I mean? I'm very lucky. That's all I would say.
Nice.
Because a lot of other dudes that I talk to, like that are in our shoes, that are still conquesting the dream or whatever it is they see fit to feel fulfillment in music, very hard times with their partners or keeping one or, you know, being comfortable to say that they can trust that other person that's in their life because they're gone all the time, you know, like there's just so much that goes into it, you know what I mean? So like I would just say that's all I can say is I'm just very lucky when I go bring up these fucking crazy ideas and like these budgets of things that I want to do now and my wife's just like, fucking what? You know? And I'm like, don't worry about it. And then I come back like months later with this, like, you know, with everything that I built and told her I was going to build. And I show it to her and she's like, this is fucking awesome. Like,
that's great.
Do it again. And you're like,
nice.
So that's very, very Captain, cool. You know?
Oh yeah. No, that kind of support, like inner circle support, no matter from who it is, I think is really, really, really important or you can't really, I mean, you can create art in a vacuum and do it for yourself, and that's important to do, and to not kill that. But to get that kind of support and that kind of reinforcement at the ground level of it, I think is absolutely crucial.
It's a concrete foundation to build your dream.
100%.
You know?
Yep.
And you can have it both ways, right? If you feel like you don't have the time and you really want to go for this, right? Don't waste your time and make all these false promises to somebody that's relying on you, right? Build your own foundation, get that dream, then find somebody else you can enjoy it with, right? But if not, be, once again, transparent, upfront. This is who I am. This is what I'm attempting to do. Not only with your bandmates, but your girlfriends, your boyfriends, your life partners, your family. Like, if you could be open and honest right up from the jump of what it is that you want to succeed in this thing, then you'll get a lot further, in my opinion.
Nice. I agree.
Just because, like, you know, it'll save a lot of people a lot of time.
Right, yeah. And yourself a lot of time.
Now, do you have anything you want to promote?
Well, those two bands, we're both on Instagram. Manchild Reno is the Instagram for that one. And then the band, Kanawha, Kanawha on Instagram. We're more active on Instagram. The news and review stuff, RenoRNR.com, I think is what it is. But if not, just Google it.
It's okay. You can send me everything. I usually have like a digital board that like floats around while we talk.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
I'll do that later.
Everything that we talk about will pop up on here as best of my ability.
So again, a story on the General Reno, Tahoe vicinity music scene. Awesome. Bands starting, bands breaking up, bands putting records out.
That is so cool.
Clubs doing interesting stuff.
And is that just exclusively for Reno?
Pretty much, Reno, Tahoe.
Bad fucking ass. And then does it cost anything for bands or musicians to come get a placement?
Oh God, no. No, you would just In fact,
A free way to promote yourself in 2026.
Right. And every article has crazy, isn't it? Every article has my email on it, and it has my Instagram, Mark Earnest from Reno Instagram, which is public. So
Gotcha.
I keep that open specifically mostly for bands, so I can keep up with them and kind of go, oh, someone put a record out, boom, and find that. And bands of all types, all kind of genres, all of it. I want it to be a really diverse column because we are here in town. So that's my regular bread and butter gig is that kind of writing and about music. And so if people could follow me on News and Review or on the Instagram page, then that'd be great too.
Cool. I'll just have you send me everything after this, and I'll post it up.
I will do that.
Anything else for me, big dog?
No, it was great seeing you again.
Dude.
I'm glad you're doing good.
I was so excited to have you on this show. And I'm so sorry. It was so hard to even be quiet over here because I was like, what about this? What about that?
It's cool.
I didn't want to do that, but you also got to kind of let you do your thing. And it was a phenomenal story, by the way. I was totally engaged.
Oh, thanks very much.
Very powerful story. Thank you for sharing everything. Love to have you back sometime.
Yeah, sure.
Fucking A.
Sure.
Well,
I'll have more Coke Zeros though. So.
I will have an arsenal of Coke Zeros for you.
Right. I hope you're enjoying your Coke Zero.
I got you. Maybe we'll have to bring in some more musicians in here. We can all talk about the same crap.
Oh, I'd love that. I'd love round table
knock
things.
some heads around. But yeah, if you have any referrals for any dudes that want to come share their story, you're
yeah,
more than welcome.
Sure.
I would love to have them on the show.
Yeah,
It's
I'm hoping
great.
when I share this, too, maybe someone will go, "Oh, that'd be cool."
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I
No,
know.
I'll
I know
totally
it's
think
a
about that.
tough one. Even when I was recording my solo podcast, to do our filler episode before this one, I was just like, I don't want to talk about myself.
Oh yeah. Oh, and when you say, "Oh, I run a mental health podcast," I mean, some people are going to go,
yeah. Please don't make
and
me
that's
talk
cool,
about me.
but that's fine. No, but I'm sure there would be some people would love to have these kinds of
I love it because most people they feel like it's going to come into you have to talk about all the negative things that happen to you, but usually it always ends up your light bulb gets to shine, about where you came from and
or all
who you
of
really
it,
are.
And let's just talk about all of it.
and hopefully some of your fans watch this too, so that way when they're listening to your music and everything, they could really paint the picture.
Yeah, I'm hoping so because usually I'm certainly not like this in normal conversation with them. So
it's very hard to do so.
Yeah,
so I'm
totally.
glad you got another
You have
bat
a
for that.
limited amount of time and volume, but yeah, no, it's cool. No, I was happy to be here.
Now we're gonna say goodbye to everybody. You're gonna say I am, and then your name.
I am Mark Earnest.
I am Nate Garrison, and at the same time, this shouldn't work.
Oh,
this shouldn't work.
Shit.
We've never done that. This is the first time we've ever done
okay.
that.
I didn't know. I was like, what is going on? We have to do we have to do that again one more time.
Okay, we'll do one. Okay, but we can't count it out. We have to do it with our minds and then say it at the same time.
Right.
You ready?
My name is Mark Earnest.
I'm Nate Garrison.
This shouldn't work.
Real time.
Magic.
Boom. Give me some.
Boom.
Dear Mother! If you or a loved one is having a hard time, please reach out and get some professional help. Here are some links to get you guys started. We would rather hear your stories than attend your funerals. The world is always a better place with you in it. Now, as you wait for new episodes, please follow us and our affiliates. We love you guys. Keep your heads up.